I'm supposed to be angry, but my supervisor won't let me right now. Hello, everyone. Bront, CatHerder here. We're having some fun talking Raid Shadow Legends, except for we're not necessarily having some fun, because I'm actually pretty pissed about something. Before I go on a rant on this, let's go talk about the Freyja event, which, to be fair, is what I'm upset about. But let's talk about the Freyja champion first. Freyja is actually pretty cool. I'm going to be going for her on both of my accounts. I've been saving up souls for this for a while. And I think she can help all kinds of accounts in just about anywhere that you are in the game. She's got an AoE provoke on the A1, books to 40%, even 25% chance is not too horrible. It'll also counterattack once when a shield is broken through with damage. So you should be able to get this an extra one time. She's otherwise not really going to attack a lot, so she's not a damage dealer, which is fine. But she's got a provoke here, which is nice. This could be useful in Hydra as a secondary provoker, or I guess maybe a primary provoker if you think she's going to be fast enough. There's other options as well. I think this could be very good for Arena, and I think this could be very good for general progression as well. She's got a nice chunky shield here with an increased defense. She puts the increased defense, I believe, before the shield, so the shield should help her defense. And then this is based off of her defense and each champion's max HP. That part's a little weird because it means that low HP champions are going to get a lesser shield, which they're the ones that need the shield a little more. But her defense should be pretty chunky, so hopefully this is a very chunky shield. We'll definitely see. And then removes all debuffs and places block debuffs for 2 turns, and then a 20% turn meter boost. This is great. This can be usable all over the place. This could be used in Clan Boss. In fact, I would be surprised if you don't see her being used in Clan Boss in the future for teams that are basically affinity friendly. So the cleanse makes her very affinity friendly, and the 2 turns makes her affinity friendly for Clan Boss. So basically, she can keep debuffs off you almost consistently on a 3-turn cooldown. Makes her a good Clan Boss champion, and the turn meter boost is very calculatable, so that's good as well. Finally, this passive here is great. The increased defense every time an ally inflicts a critical hit, so her defense should climb up fairly quickly in Arena. It should climb up fairly quickly in Clan Boss or other content you have, because you should have somebody doing a critical hit. And then the active, where she will prevent the death of an ally with the highest crit damage, so generally your big damage dealer or one of your big damage dealers, keeps them alive with 1 HP. And of course, you can't have multiples of the same skill activate at the same time. That's fine. Then heals a champion by 20% of their max HP, so they'll end up with 20% plus 1. Activates an instant turn effect on them as well, so your nuker immediately goes. That's going to be a huge option in Arena for keeping people alive. Think Necrit, except for basically it's an instant activated. So it's kind of like a combination of Necrit and Shuzen, I guess would be a good way to put this. Very good skill, 30% defense in all out battles. Very good as well. Usually you don't complain about that particular aura too much. But that's not what I'm important. I think Freyja will help a lot of people, and that's awesome. But that's not what I'm mad about. What I am mad about is this Deck of Fate event here. Well, first of all, she's going to be a fragment champion, so that's great. If you don't want to go for her, or you don't think you can get her, these fragments are still going to be good for getting mod eventually, so that's great. And all these other rewards seem okay. Nothing too amazing here, but, Void Shards don't suck. Primal Shards are pretty nice. Legendary Books are great. And Speed Glyphs. But there's only one of each of these in some places, so, they could be okay. The Fate chests, as always, are kind of random, but if you can actually keep them, in fact, I didn't check that. Yes, you can. I don't know if you can pin them or not in this one. If you can pin them, pinning the purple ones is pretty good, because that guarantees you, especially if you're going to finish this event, that guarantees you 3 of these things in this top row here, and anything else you get as a bonus. This is where I have a problem with it. Now, the champion training, it's fine. It's pretty standard for what they usually run for champion training for these events. It's not quite what the points are for the tournament, but it's always a little bit less for these events. It's very grindy. It's going to take an awful lot of champ training to really get some of these points here. That's fine, but they also nerfed the soul stones. Soul stones traditionally are 100, 1,000, 5,000, if not more. In fact, the lowest they've ever been is 100, 1,000, 5,000. So this is a 20%, in some cases 40%. Actually, it's a 40%. It's a 40% nerf to how many points you've got down here. That's just really kind of shady, Plarium. I'm angry about it. I've seen a lot of chatter about it. I've actually gotten hit up by a couple people in private asking me what's the deal with this. And from what I'm hearing from some of the other content creators in the content creator program, there's chat about this in the content creator program as well, because this seems kind of shady. Now, I'm still going to go for her. I thought I was pretty much guaranteed with her. I've got 150 of these Mortal Soul Stones. I've got 10 to 15 of the Mortal Soul Stones, and I've got 1 or 2 of the Eternal Soul Stones on my accounts, on both accounts actually, because I've been saving up for a long time. But now it went from I had 90 to 95% of this done, and I may not even have to do this champion training, to where I'm going to have to grind a ton of champion training to get myself a Freyja to make sure I'm guaranteed to get her. And that's fine for me. I was prepared to do it. I'm skipping this fusion. But I think for a lot of people that were looking forward to this event, that were looking forward to having some fun, getting a cool champion, participating in one of these events, that I really think that Plarium missed the boat and made this really feel bad. And I think that that's really the biggest problem with this Asguard Divide event that they've been running. The Odin dungeon has been great. Pinpoint gear is a lot of fun. Pinpoint gear is, definitely some power creep, but it's a good set of gear that'll help anybody at any point in the game and can be farmed at any level, because the Odin dungeon can be run even at the lower levels pretty easily. It's an accessible dungeon. It doesn't feel like a super cheap dungeon. You just certainly needed to have a good account to run at the very, very high end of the Odin dungeon. But you didn't need to farm the high end. You could farm level 20. Level 20 was very accessible. I've built several teams for it for other people that worked very, very well. That dungeon felt great. The Thor fusion overall felt fairly accessible. It wasn't the easiest fusion, but it wasn't the hardest fusion we'd ever had. Thor is a great champion. I'm really impressed with Thor. I use him all over the place on both of my accounts now. He feels very much like an updated version of like a Herndig, where Herndig was a good damage dealer with lots of utility. Well, so is Thor. So that's been absolutely great. You've got Loki for free. Loki is helping a ton of different accounts. Loki is useful early on for beating UDK. He's useful in some of the late games for single target lockout. He's got some good arena use. He certainly could be usable in Hydra and other places as well for people that are kind of struggling to advance in them. Loki was a good champion, and he was free, so it's kind of hard to complain about a free champion. He doesn't have to be the best champion in the world to be made great as a free champion. He has to be useful, and he's useful. So it's been mostly all positive for the Asgard Divide event. And then they have to pretty much end it at this, because there's not going to be a lot of other events. You might get some more chances to get Odin at some point in time, and I'm sure there's going to be an event for Odin outside of the guaranteed champ chases and other stuff. There's probably going to be some sort of summons for him, maybe with Prism Shards, for example, would be, I guess. But there's a couple other options. They could do some other stuff for Odin. They're going to do something for Odin. And then all these champions are going to continue to be accessible, which is great as well. And I guess that's really part of why we can be angry about this, but it's not like Freyja is going to be locked out and you can't get her if you cannot complete this event. So overall, just let me hide myself here quickly, because I realize I am blocking. Mortal Soul Stones, 60. Immortal Soul Stones, 600. Eternal Soul Stones, 3,000. That really, really sucks. Plarium, you can do better. You really can. And you had an opportunity to knock this event out of the park. And if it had been 100, 1,000, 5,000, is that perfect for everybody? No. There's plenty of people that still would probably struggle to get Freyja. But it wouldn't feel like you're nickel and diming your people for money for soul stones, or people that haven't been saving for months for this particular event, or the ones that saved shards and decided that they weren't going to save their souls, pulled for in the 2x, and they're just out of luck. And it's really unfortunate. And I understand Plarium is predatory in some manner. This game does try to earn your money, both fairly by being a good game that's worth maybe spending some money in, as well as predatorily by trying to get you to fear missing out on something or making something a little harder than normal, so you might have to spend a little bit here and a little bit there. And I get it. They're a company. They're ultimately trying to make money. They're owned by a gambling conglomerate. So there's some negative things about Plarium. There's some negative things about Raid as far as that's concerned. But this feels particularly crappy. It just feels bad. And I think that Plarium really, really could have done better. So Plarium, I'm calling you out. I think you can actually make this right. You could probably fix this. And maybe you fix it by just giving a bunch of people some extra stuff. You give out one extra Eternal Soul Stone and you're probably mostly forgiven. You give out a couple of things, be great. Change the points, but it's probably a little too late to change the points. I don't know. Maybe you make an event where it's easy to get 10 fragments of Freyja for free. There's all kinds of things they could do to make this a little bit better without making it, super easy for everyone either. So hopefully Plarium listens. Hopefully Plarium is willing to understand why we're upset about this stuff and willing to change for the better, because they have been willing to change for the better in some cases. They've done some UI fixes. They have not been nerfing champions, which is unfortunate, but they have been buffing champions, and they buffing champions regularly, and they're buffing old champions, which is good. So they're listening. They're making some changes. They're not always hitting with every change, but they are making some changes. So maybe Plarium will actually listen to this kind of call out. Don't be afraid to call out Plarium. Just because we play the game, just because we spend money, doesn't mean that we have to follow everything that they do, and we have to be happy with everything we do. But I also don't like just rage for the sake of rage. If I'm going to be upset about something, I want to at least tell them how you can fix it, or at least very concretely what they did to screw up. And here, they screwed up. They screwed up big time, and they've taken an event that should have been fun, could have been a celebratory final lap around the Asgard Divide, and made it feel crappy. And that's unfortunate. So hopefully the next couple videos will be much more uplifting. Appreciate you guys sticking around. I appreciate you guys listening. If you've got any thoughts on this, please leave in comments down below. Smash that subscribe button. I appreciate all your support. I appreciate all my members of the channel, all the folks that support me on Twitch. If you are not aware, I do have a link to Bront CatHerder merch down below. You can actually get t-shirts with my logo and all kinds of other cool stuff. Very reasonably priced, very good quality merch. Go check all that stuff out. But thanks for hanging around. Until the next time, I'm Bront CatHerder.